Hello viewers and welcome to the Orange Hub podcast, proudly brought to you by Say What with support from Education Out Loud. My beautiful name is Panashish Batamoto, also known as The Dynamite, and today we're going to be having a power-packed conversation on the role of civil society organizations in budget advocacy for girls in education. And I'm not alone. I do not like riding solo, so I do have someone who is here with me today that's going to help me unpack the subject. Welcome to the Orange Hub podcast.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
All right. So I want you to introduce yourself to the people that are watching. You tell them your name, where you're from, what you do, and you also tell us what you're well known for. It could be at work, at home, something that makes your heart race a bit faster.
Okay, I'm Godfrey Bonaventura. I come from Tanzania and I work for an organization called Haki Elimu. Haki Elimu is an advocacy NGO, basically to promote access and quality of education for all the children in Tanzania. I'm very well known as a good father with my family.
Okay, you're a present dad.
If you ask my kids, wherever they are, they will tell you our dad is a good father. He's a good daddy.
I love that. I love that. So how's Tanzania?
Tanzania is good and we are doing well. Moving on now to the general election in October. So it's going to be a bit more tense because of the dominance of the political aspects.
Okay,
yes.
So we're able to converse in Swahili right now.
Yes, we can do.
Habari za mchana?
Now it's not in China, now it is, so even in Jioni.
Jioni.
Yes, habari za Jioni.
So I did a little bit of Swahili in university. Okay. So I know how to say my name, which is Jina langu ni Panashe.
Yes, usahihi.
What does...
Umepatia. You've...
I did well.
You
that
have
was
done
correct.
It well, sure.
So I'm hoping to learn more from you in terms of Swahili. So right about now, we want to get into the conversation, into why we're having this podcast today. But before we delve deeper into what we're supposed to be talking about, have you been enjoying your stay in Zimbabwe?
I can't say so because I've been inside the hotel for most of the time because of the cold weather. Yes, so I'm expecting probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the weather going to be a bit more right. So I can go outside, have some visit to some of the places that I wish to visit.
All right. Yes. Okay. So to the conversation that we're having today, we want to talk about the financing landscape in Tanzania. How has it been for girls' education in terms of the financing landscape?
Our education sector budget has been increasing, and now to the tune of almost about 5 trillion. But the challenge has been in the distribution between the recurrent expenditure and the development expenditure. More money is going to the recurrent expenditure, paying more teachers, and there are also other operational costs. And that said, a very little amount of money remains for the development side of it. And that's where things to do with the infrastructures, hostels, and the facilities that are required to support girls' education. We face so many challenges. Right now, we are having the challenges of lack of wash facilities for girls, such as toilets, changing rooms, the issues of hostels as well, and water supplies. And that's why we see we still have these challenges, and we are always making a call for the government to ensure that they consider budgeting in the gender lens, so that we could have more money now going into the development side of it, and especially to support girls' education in Tanzania.
Okay. I generally believe that if we invest in education, we are investing in the future, and we're also investing in the present. What does it look like in Tanzania for girls in rural areas, in very remote areas? Is it the same situation in the urban areas? Because I believe there are certain communities that are underserved. How is it like in Tanzania?
No, the big issues between the rural and urban, especially in Tanzania, the schools, especially lower secondary, are located in far distance from where the children are, and so they face that challenge of moving 5 to 10 kilometers, which is the risk in consideration with the child protection for girls. So that is the big issue. And one of the case that I can give you in one of the region in Tanzania called Tabora, girls were walking almost 28 kilometers in a day.
That's
so 28
bad.
kilometers in a day, you could imagine someone moving to 15 kilometers to a school will not be even settled, will reach to a school very tired, and even the concentration will not be at her best. And if she makes to and fro, that means almost 30 kilometers. What if she makes in a month 20 days? So it's like traveling for more than 600 kilometers. So it's a big problem for girls. And that's why we are advocating for the government to construct more hostels so that girls can be housed and being in a school that is nearby, so that they can have more concentration in their studies as well.
Okay.
And also being away from the risk of being on safeguarding related issues.
Okay. You know, if we are to have a podcast talking about the challenges that girls face in terms of education, like we could spend the whole day going on and on. But I think what's very important and key is that we sit down and deliberate on what actions should we take to ensure that we eradicate A, B, C, and D. So let's talk about policy, because I believe that we need to sit down with the decision makers. We need to ensure that we advocate for policy changes that ensure and enhance quality education for girls. So how have you been doing it as Haki Elimu? Did I mention that correctly?
Yes, it's Haki Elimu, and it's a Swahili
Elimu.
name that means right to education.
Rights to education.
Yeah, to education.
I love
It's
that.
Haki is right, and then Elimu is education. That's why I said earlier that we are promoting access to quality education for all children of Tanzania.
Okay.
So for quite some times, Haki Elimu has been advocating for gender-responsive budgeting to ensure that the budget that we plan accommodates and being in response to the challenge that our girls are facing in our education system in Tanzania. I can give you an example. Way back, 2 years ago, actually, we had a very special campaign of Mtoto wa Kike Asome. Mtoto wa Kike Asome means do whatever you can do to make sure that a girl is in school, and also being able to transit to other levels of the education system. So what we did, actually, we conducted a very thorough budget analysis, and then we discovered a lot of challenges, and then we advocated for the government now to try to construct hostels so that the issue of distance can be solved. But again, for the government to provide free sanitary pads, and also the government to improve wash facilities in schools. For example, pit latrines, and also changing room for girls, but also ensuring that the learning and teaching environment for our girls are also improved in our schools. With that sort of campaign and the number of engagement that we did with the members of the parliament, but also the government itself, but also in any platform that we were getting, we are glad that our contribution has been to a certain extent considered. The government made a very huge commitment to construct 25 boarding schools for girls, with an average of each school costing almost 4 billion shilling. That will be able to accommodate 1,000 girls in school. And so for our case, we see that's a huge decision. And as I speak now, some of the schools have been completed and they're operational now, starting to accommodate students, and others have reached at a point of 80%. So we are hoping in the next 2 years, all these 25 boarding schools for girls will be operational. So that's one of the things I would point out to be one of the success that we have to be proud of.
Okay. So generally in Tanzania, how has been like the budgeting relating to education? Like, how has it been like? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? What are some of the areas that you see are not being well catered for?
No, there are two or three things I should speak. I mean, I'm not happy is because we are not budgeting our education sector budget aligning to international commitment that we have made.
Exactly.
You see, the Ancient Declaration actually requires the educational budget share to be equal to the range of 4 to 6%, but ours has been at the range of 3%. So you'd see if you add 1%, it's a huge amount of money.
Exactly.
But again, the other thing that I see to be the challenge, our share of the education sector budget to the national share keeps decreasing. You know, we reached a point it was 20%, but kept going down, and now we've reached to a point of 13%. You see, so we want our education budget to align with the international standards, like the SDG and also other standards that would really increase the budget in real terms. So that is one thing. But again, the challenge that we see is the alignment between the budget that is expected to be allocated, which is indicated in the education sector development plan. We did our analysis actually for the last 5 years with the ESDP, education sector development plan, and then we found that what was expected to be planned to be able to facilitate the implementation of that plan on an annual basis, it has been on the discrepancy of almost 2 billion gap. You would see the ESDP wants the allocation to be 7 billion, I mean 7 trillion, but the allocation is on the tune of 5 trillion. So you would see that gap of 2 billion, which is almost 25%. And what does that mean? That means on annual basis, the implementation of ESDP is lagging behind by 25%. So that is the gap that we have seen. So what we are saying now, in whatever plan that we put, and the estimation that we make for the cost of funding that plan on annual basis, then even the budget that we plan, it has to equate to what we have planned to do. That is the call that we have always been making. But again, try to increase the share of the education sector budget to the national budget. And you would see the 3%, 2% might be very small to you. But for me, if you increase that, and we did that sort of social maths, if we increase by 2%, then we are likely to increase our budget by 1 trillion. If you move from 5 to 6 trillion, what does that mean? 6 trillion is huge amount of money. 3 years ago, President Samia Suluhu Hassan just provided 350 billion shilling for the improvement of infrastructures, especially classroom construction. Now, the issue of classroom in lower secondary is the history. So what if we are able to allocate that addition of 1 trillion shilling to the education sector? It's a huge amount of money. Then we can be able to solve a number of challenges that are facing our children.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And I know you guys, you like to say we are young at heart, but I would also want to say there is nothing for us without us as young people. And it's really important that we also see young faces driving change and also making sure that responsible people are held accountable of the change that we need to see. So I'd like to ask, how are you including young people in your advocacy work?
In any project that we design, and the goodness of Akilum is we always use what we call the human-centered design. You know, the young people are the center of any problem that we're advocating for. For example, if you speak about promoting access and equality, the young people are the ones that we are looking for. And so in any project that we design, we have to consider also how are we going to amplify the voice of this, especially the beneficiaries. So what we're doing actually in any, I could give you one of the example actually. We try as much as we can to amplify their voice by giving them platform to voice up.
Exactly.
Now we have projects where we're promoting child protection. In 124 schools. What we have done actually, create platform for them to voice up by facilitating installation of reporting and responses boxes. A child anytime can be in a position to write something and go and put in the box. And by putting the box, that means his or her voice can be taken and then consider it for any sort of advice or anything that can be worked just to help him or her. But the other thing that we are doing, we are trying as much as we can to facilitate these champions in the project that we are working to attend these international events or any international dialogues, and then to make sure that they're given platform to voice out on anything that they need to communicate. But we're also facilitating them to attend community radio talk shows so that they can also voice up. You know, when they voice up, then you can get the feeling of the problem that they face instead for me to speak on their behalf.
Exactly. And thank you so much for doing that, because I would always want to say there is nothing for us without us. So the fact that you're giving us a chance, you're giving us a platform, it also means a lot to young people out there. And I think in all the projects that we do in this space, we always want to see results. To me, it's not always about the quantity, but it's about the quality of work that we do. So when we see results, we are happy, we are satisfied, and we're good to go. So what role does data and evidence play in your advocacy strategies?
We believe if you want to do any advocacy, it has to be backed up by evidence. And why we believe in that? Because the evidence, the data, can give you the magnitude of the issue, of the problem.
Exactly.
The data and the evidence can give you the solutions. The data and the evidence can also give you the value of the change that you want to achieve. That's why we rely so much on evidence. And for our case, actually, before we do anything or any sort of advocacy, we have to make sure that we do research. By doing the research, we are able to get the evidence, and then using those evidence to engage with the decision makers, trying to present the magnitude of the problem and the solution which have been proposed from the research itself. So I still believe, and we've been able to influence and change the mind of the decision makers because of the data and the evidence that we've been generating. And we try as much as we can to invest a lot in research, because it's very hard to influence someone if you don't have the evidence and the data that will just showcase the extent to which the problem is.
Exactly.
Also the causes for the problem that you see, and also the solution that have come out from the research that we have done, and also the value for the change. That if you do this is the certain number of children that will be impacted. I can give you an example. I met members of the parliament 5 years ago, and then I was talking to them, trying to explain in numbers that the girls are missing 4 to 5 days because of lack of sanitary pads during their men's time. And what does that mean? If they miss 4 to 5 days, that means they are likely to miss for 40 days in a school calendar in a year. What does that mean? That means if they were missing sessions on anything on their subject, they will not be able to understand that subject matter. And what that means, they will not be able to do in the exams. And what that mean? They will fail the exams. You see, I went on then to convince them, saying 75% do not have access to sanitary pads. They could not understand me. Then I said, what does that mean? 75%, if you take the number of the pupils in grade 6 and 7, is equivalent to 1 million. 75% is 750,000 students do not have access to sanitary pads. What does that mean? Then I went on to give the social maths. It's equivalent to the national stadium of Dar es Salaam, where the derby of Simba na Yanga and the stadium is full, to be refilled 15 times.
Exactly.
That's where they are. You know, someone will not be able to understand if you say 750,000.
Exactly.
It's until you put in the social maths. Then you can see someone getting the feel of it. Oh, it's a huge number. So that's the use of the data and the evidence in policy influencing.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I think that was really profound. And, you know, education remains the cornerstone for human liberation. And it's very important that we're actually having this discussion. But, you know, at TikTok, I always want to continue and continue and continue, but time is no longer on our side. So I'd like you to just say a few words as your parting words.
We need to invest to girls. You know, if you invest to a girl, if you educate a girl, you educate the family. And then you educate the entire community. But if you educate a boy, you educate an individual.
And you forgot the nation part. Like when you invest in a girl, it's not just the community, the family, it's also the nation.
Let me end there.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks to you.
And yes, viewers, you're watching the Orange Hub podcast, proudly brought to you by Say What, with support from Education Out Loud. My beautiful name is Panashish Batamoto. Until next time, it's goodbye.
Thanks.